Let's go over some basic education on hormone management for men's health. Over the last 6 months, there's been a lot of patients either coming to us from other clinics or interested in hormones and getting started, and they are still confused and wondering what the issue with estrogen while on hormone replacement therapy is. In a previous video, we have mentioned briefly why you do not want to block estrogen while you're on testosterone. The old school way of thinking, which came about decades ago, was that too much estrogen for a man is bad, and most clinics still operate on the outdated information of blocking estrogen with the unnecessary and overuse of aromatase inhibitors. These drugs that people overprescribe have long-standing and systemic and ultimately negative effects. As we mentioned previously, estrogen in men acts more of a paracrine hormone than an endocrine hormone. Now, there's a big difference between endocrine and paracrine hormones. Let's briefly talk about it. Endocrine and paracrine hormones, they have different signaling and different functions, which basically means there's different ways that they communicate with each other. They differ in how and where their signaling molecules are released and how far they have to exert their effects. Here's a brief breakdown. So, endocrine signaling involves the release of hormones directly into the bloodstream by endocrine glands, such as your thyroid gland, adrenal glands, your pituitary gland. These hormones travel throughout the body, in the bloodstream, and they reach their distant target organs and tissues, which is why you check a blood test for testosterone. These hormones are distributed throughout the blood, and the signaling is actually a little bit slower, but it allows for a broad systemic effect, which is why testosterone affects multiple parts of the body. Another example is insulin. You give a diabetic insulin, it helps lower their blood sugar. Now, paracrine hormones, they basically allow the signal molecules are more localized. Basically, they affect nearby cells within the same tissues. Because of this, paracrine signaling is much faster, so it's a shorter distance. Now, a good example of this is neurotransmitters between your nerve cells, as well as growth factors in your tissues such as tissue repair and local estrogen production in your bone tissue. So when you test a man's testosterone and estrogen level, the testosterone is accurate. But when you actually test a serum estrogen, it's really not telling you what's going on inside the tissues. And when you put a person on an aromatase inhibitor, where you block the conversion of testosterone to estrogen, you are essentially blocking most of the benefits that you're getting from testosterone replacement therapy. And as a result, you're treating something that's not really accurate. To really know what's going on, it's actually going inside the breast tissue. So what this basically means is a serum estrogen doesn't really reflect what's going on. A lot of people are worried about gynecomastia related to estrogen, and there's so much data out there showing that gynecomastia in men, you're not going to get that from testosterone replacement therapy. If you get gynecomastia, you have to have a genetic predisposition, and it involves more than just simply your estrogen level rising from testosterone. It involves multiple different factors such as cortisol, prolactin, a change in your IGF-1 level, and these are all very rapid changes. Now, there's multiple ways to quote-unquote manage a serum estradiol level if you're really worried about the numbers. Now, there's plenty of gurus and people that optimize people's hormones the correct way, such as myself and other clinics in the space that actually go over and really discuss that. If you're simply just chasing numbers on a lab and you don't know what's actually going on at a cellular level and what these meds are doing, you really should not be optimizing people's health and hormones, because realistically, you're causing more harm than good. For any more personalized advice, feel free to reach out.